And the Oscar goes to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Thank you so much. We love you, and we want you all to know we see you. You're powerful. This world needs you, okay? This world needs you. So please, we're all counting on you. Thank you.
Hi, hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name's Courtney. You can call me Quartz. And it has been 6 years since Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse won the Oscar for Best Animated Feature Film. And 6 years later, I finally sit down to watch it. Well, actually, I was bullied into watching it by one of my friends. So Harry, this video is for you, but also for me, but also for you. And 6 years later, this year, they have a sequel out, Across the Spider-Verse, I think it's called, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Haven't seen it yet. Definitely gonna watch it after seeing this one. But it is also up for Best Animated Feature Film this year at the 2024 Academy Award. After seeing this movie, it's definitely made its way onto my award season watch list. Before we get into it, like this video, subscribe to my channel. I'm a growing creator. I really could use the love and support today. I'm about to hit 1,000 subscribers, and if you even just like this video, it's really gonna make my day. With that being said, let's dive into the Spider-Verse together. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse follows Afro-Latino teen Miles Morales as he becomes the Spider-Man of his universe and must join with 5 other spider-powered individuals from other dimensions to stop a threat for all realities, where more than one can wear the mask. From the creators who brought us the Lego movie, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is written by Phil Lord and Rodney Rothman, directed by a trio, which is very rare, Rodney Rothman, Peter Ramsey, and Bob Perschetti. Voices from Shamik Moore, Hallie Steinfeld, Mahershala Ali, Nicolas Cage, Chris Pine, Zoe Kravitz, Lily Tomlin, John Mulaney, Oscar Isaac, Jake Johnson, Catherine Hahn, and even Stan Lee himself, yes, before his passing. I think this was one of Stan Lee's last cameos. We also have a credit for Post Malone. He wrote an original song for this movie called Sunflower, which was the hit of the summer. I think it was 2018. I had that on every playlist. So Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse has a unique style of animation from Sony Studios, which was a groundbreaking achievement as it was one of the first of its kind. So if you could read a comic book and have it come to life before your eyes, that would be this movie. From the New York Times, Spider-Verse celebrates its print origins with bold graphics and mainstays of comic book style, including thought balloons, printed words, and wavy lines to indicate a tingling spidey sense. As concisely as possible, it looks like the pages of the comic book were ripped out and quite literally animated. Adding that, the characters will feel liberated by animation and the audience will too. I definitely can say that I felt like there was an escape watching this movie. I wanted to crawl into the pages of a comic book. This added effect made me want to dive into all of the Spider-Man lore and just know everything so I could catch every little Easter egg that there was. Something cozy and comforting about the visuals being such an integral part of comic book storytelling, kind of the same way that visuals in a movie are integral. I don't know, it just feels like they live in the same vein. It's hard to convince a big studio like Sony that less is more. With the advanced digital age that we live in, animation could have made the stylistic choice to be so crisp and clear and lifelike, kind of like DreamWorks. Instead, they achieved something massive and keeping it as close to the original artwork as possible. At the beginning of the movie, there is a literal stamp of approval. The CCA stamp is a throwback reference to the print comics, implying to adults that the film is literally a comic book turned into a movie. Every other reference in the opening sequence is not only included to establish a rich, vibrant universe, but to give older fans this fit of nostalgia, which is exactly what I said. I think that's the first thing I said was, this feels so nostalgic. Most often when you see animation, the characters have all been homogenized to a certain aesthetic, like in Bob's Burgers, they all look a certain way, and we just accept that's how they look. Sony's approach to the Spider-Verse felt intentful in making each individual their own. From white Peter Parker to African Latino Miles to Penny and her anime style, like not animated, but anime style Penny with the spider bomb. She is like her own entire entity. They just really didn't hold back on creating individuality around each character. I think I can say with confidence, I don't say this often, but I can say this with confidence, that the writing for this movie was near flawless. It was nearly, I don't have any issues with it. It's a perfect formula. The movie opens with a reiteration from the Spider-Man that we know and love, establishing the origin pattern that we are already familiar with. How many times have we seen this formula in Spider-Man? It has been regurgitated to us that he's bitten by a radioactive spider, He receives superhuman abilities. Soon after, a family member is killed or dies, thus prompting him to become or commit to becoming Spider-Man. But the thing that separates this from every other Spider-Man thus far is that the takeaway here is that anybody can be Spider-Man. It's just so wholesome. It's just so wholesome. It's just so nice. Appearances aside, though, the overall theme for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is made apparent during the film's finale. Bookending the initial title sequence at the beginning of the movie, Miles tells us that it has nothing to do with your race or gender, but rather that this is Miles' story. His story and his Spidey. Basically, you can do it. You can be your own hero. Everyone is capable of being their own Spider-Man, woman, pig, or robot. Believe in yourself is the wholesome message that comes with this movie. But what I really liked and took note of, the bookends, as I mentioned. So the first introduction to the movie is Peter Parker, as we know. He even touches on the live-action Tobey Maguire scenes where he's like, you know, walking down the street and he's like doing the finger gun. It just pulls everything from live action, animated, Marvel, every single Spider-Man we've seen, like it just pulls into this Spider-Verse, already kind of nods to the audience, like, you know what's about to go down. You've seen this before. We know that you know, and we know that you love it, and we love it. And it was kind of just like, it felt like the movie started with a celebration of Spider-Man, okay? And then it ended with Miles and his own version of his Spider-Man and his Spider-Verse with just such a positive message. And I really felt that book ended the film. Like if they hadn't been approved to do the sequel, it would have been a perfect movie standalone. And now that they have done a sequel, I'm excited to see how they might leave it more open-ended. Let's touch on Stan Lee's cameo for a minute, though. I think this was one of his final cameos. Let me just see. Stan Lee, final cameo. Okay, so we're gonna say Avengers Endgame. Feel free to correct me on that in the comment section below. But I feel like this is one of his most powerful cameos. Honestly, I think it's gonna be the one that I remember most. There's this beautiful moment where Miles, he is taking one of Peter Parker's old spider suits, and obviously it doesn't fit him. He's a teenage boy and Peter Parker's a man. When he finally does put it on, it like fits him perfectly, which seems like a hole in the story, but it is because of what Stan Lee says to him in his cameo at the comic book shop. It always fits eventually. Like, he reminded Miles that he will grow more confident, more skillful, and more comfortable with his new powers when he's finally ready to take the role of Spider-Man. The costume will fit, just like the role itself, and he will finally fit into his persona of Spider-Man. And he does, and it's just so lovely. It's like, it always fits eventually. You'll always fit somewhere eventually. You'll always end up where you need to be eventually, just because it feels a little uncomfortable right now. It just takes a little bit of courage and growth and practice of skill sets. And then bam, sham-lam, you're Spider-Man. This is great in reminding audiences that you will always have a place in the world to be your own hero. The message of this movie spans across generations though, and I honestly think it's harder, it hits harder as an adult. I think that if I was a kid, I would have been like, oh yeah, Spider-Man. But watching it as an adult, you're like, in the most wholesome way possible, this movie was catered to the longtime Spider-Man fans. But outside of Stan Lee's cameo, the performances in this movie were outstanding. Jake Johnson, who you would know from New Girl, he makes the perfect Peter Parker. Peter Parker washed up Spider-Man. I usually stand by Tom Holland as my favorite Spider-Man because I personally think he's the perfect combination of charming, funny, and dorky. And he also actually resembled a teenager. Like when they cast Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, I was kind of like, that's a man. But Jake Johnson really pushes the boundaries of who Spider-Man could be, and I really, really enjoyed his take on the character. I just think it was so fitting. Nicolas Cage, another iconic voice playing Spider-Noir, who allegedly made his first appearance in 2009 as a part of the Marvel Noir universe, where that version of the character lives in New York during the Great Depression. So very fun. You would think that Spider-Man Noir would be from literally the 50s, but no, 2009, he made his debut appearance. We also have to touch on Hailee Steinfeld because I am obsessed. Spider-Gwen? Spider-Gwen? I need a copy of this comic yesterday. I did not know that existed. Not to be confused with Spider-Woman, who first appeared in 1977, but Spider-Gwen has only been around since 2014. Hailee, Honestly, she has a habit of kicking ass in voice acting. She plays Jinx in Netflix's Arcane series, which is based on League of Legends. I love it. I love her. I love Jinx. I love League of Legends. Do I play it? No, but
I play Mobile Legends Bang Bang on my phone like a grown-up.
Arcane has to be one of my favorite animated series, and I am very desperate for season 2. She has a real talent though, Hallie Steinfeld. Like when you hear Jinx, that sounds absolutely nothing like her. It doesn't have even a similar cadence to how she plays Gwen at all. Not to mention that she's also a pop star. She makes great pop hits. I'm pretty sure she's one of the youngest people ever nominated for an Oscar. She was 14 when she was nominated for Best Supporting Actress in True Grit, which is a Coen Brothers movie. So she's definitely one to keep your eyes out for. I think she's like gonna sneak up on us, and we're just gonna be all of a sudden so upset.
Make it known here and now that I have been a Hallie Steinfeld stan since at least 2018, okay? I'll say that, at least 2018.
But one thing I'm curious about that you guys might be able to answer for me is the Oscar Isaac credit, because he's credited in Into the Spider-Verse as interesting person #1, and he's a major actor, so I was kind of like, what's happening? Was it just a tease? Was it just a tease for the audience to let us know that he would have a bigger role in the next movie? Because I know he played someone in the next movie. I don't want to say a villain, but I think it's either a villain or one of the Spideys. What's that about? But it was also really fun to see that Post Malone had a credit as Brooklyn Bystander. So it would be really fun if anybody knows where exactly in the movie he has a piece of dialogue. Please let me know in the comments again, because that is so fun when they put like little eggies in there like that for us. One thing is for sure though, that animated feature films are definitely underrated and consistently overlooked for their filmmaking achievements. I read that there is a lack of WGA and DGC representation for animation writers and directors. Animators themselves are covered under their own union, the Animators Guild, and since 2021 they've been a part of IATSE. If you were to like write a feature film, it would be very hard for you to be covered under the WGA and actually receive credits to be a part of the union. It's like creating a barrier for new filmmakers who might be able to make something amazing on a limited budget. If they knew how to animate themselves, they could write themselves and create their own movie themselves. The unions are kind of barricading that from happening. Definitely throughout the industry, we need to put respect on animation's name and realize that they carry a lot of creators who make incredible art. Like I worked across the street from Sony Animation Studios in Vancouver, and I'm pretty sure I would serve these animators their coffee every day. It was like 2 or 3 years of them working on this movie. Congratulations, guys, if you ever end up seeing this. Super impressed. It turned out great. Sorry it took me so long to get to it. All in all though, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is a vintage comic book brought to life and reinvented in the most wholesome way possible. This is a perfect movie that anyone would enjoy, especially anyone who's already familiar with Spider-Man. Even if you're not, it's the perfect gateway into Spider-Man lore. Let me know if you guys think that the sequel is going to take home the Oscar for Best Animated Series this year, because I haven't seen it yet, but I will be watching it. I know it's up against The Boy and the Heron, which was also highly anticipated, highly celebrated. Like this video, subscribe to my channel. I appreciate you being here. I upload every weekend. Have a great week, and I will see you then.